Hello everybody, welcome to this week's webinar, Short Game Accuracy. I'm here with Brenndan Cooper. We're at Tiffany Green's Golf Club in Kansas City, Missouri, and as always, we're brought to you by Medicus Golf and Kick-X Golf. So I've had a lot of requests to talk about short game stuff. You know, we get a lot of requests also on full swing, but you know, we did a webinar a while back where we talked about all the percentages of what the best players in the world are. So, but accuracy, no matter if it's full swing or short game, needs to be paramount.
Yes.
You know, whether you're putting, chipping, pitching, hitting driver, it doesn't make any difference. You've got to be fairly accurate doing all that in order to score well.
You got to control the ball.
So we're going to show you a couple of things, and we use a lot of different things. But for today, I've got a 2x4 out here, and the best way to practice this is to set up to the shot. And we're going to put the golf ball back here and just make little chips, right? And you want to see where the ball is traveling relative to that 2x4, starting to the right, starting to the left, or going long, or going straight. So I'm going to do the first one. I'm going to have the face have it go just a little bit to the right. So if I'm doing this exercise, you can see where it just went to the right of that. Now I'm going to do it a little bit to the left. So again, I'm just setting up square every time. What's happening is I'm changing what my hands are doing to the club face. Hopefully this one will be a little bit left, and it was. So now, obviously, the hard part is trying to hit it straight. So you want to make sure that when you're coming in that you're not flipping, rolling, or doing anything with your hands. Just try to keep your club face looking down the line of that board. And I'd say it was pretty straight because it hit the board. Okay? So not bad. That was not taped, by the way. It was live and not memorized.
That's true.
And now it's going to be your turn.
That's my turn.
So that's what I would do with a wedge. Now, obviously, as you get farther and farther back, you're going to have a longer and longer swing.
Right.
Well, you can still do this, or you can take two alignment sticks, just set them up, you know, whatever width you want them, and then try to get shots through it. And that'll give you basically your starting direction.
Yeah.
Right? So then the curve would happen with the face relative to the path.
Right.
But start with the small ones first and then work your way back. And as you go back, just set up a couple alignment stakes in the ground, try to get the ball started between them.
Right. The old field goal drill.
Yeah. So now we're going to take this ruler and just lay it down on the ground. And this is another good way we use to help players control how they putt. So go ahead and walk us through that, Brenndan.
So what we'll do is I'm going to kind of slide this right there. Okay. Is just lay down a yardstick and just put a golf ball down on your yardstick there. And what you want to try to do is hit some putts here and see if you can't get the ball to roll off the end of the stick. And if you've got, it takes pretty good club face control to do this. Now you don't want to just walk up to the putt and hit it as hard as you can.
Right.
That's the purpose. But you just want to get set up and just make it a reasonably short stroke, not a real hard one, and just see if you can get that thing to trickle off the edge. Ooh, shut there.
So that will tell you that was a little shut. Okay.
Like live TV.
All right. And you had no one. I kind of sprung this on him when you walked in. What
Yeah.
am I doing? Oh, yeah, you're doing putting.
At 10 seconds notice, so.
There you go.
All right, so that one went to the left, so the feedback I got there is the face was rolling shut.
Right.
Okay, so let's see if I can get this to do a little better here.
And that was it. Right down the line.
So definitely gives you a feel for what your hands are doing while you're hitting the ball. Because the first one, definitely feel it. I want to blame it on live TV.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you have any questions, just put them into the chat board here to the side of the screen, and we'll get those. We already have several questions, but if you have any, go ahead and put them in there as well, and we'll get to those at the end here. So when we're talking about short game accuracy, obviously that's pitching, chipping, bunkers, sand play. That's wedges and that stuff, let's say within 100 yards.
Right.
So as a rule of thumb, and granted, these are pretty tight, but you can certainly do this. If you have a 90-yard shot, what we do when we have all of our players out here, we want them to try to get that within a 9-foot circle.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're making that pretty tight. You have a 50-yard pitch, we're going for a 5-foot circle.
Yeah.
Right, so if you look at some of the stats that we've got you know, the best players on tour, when they're chipping from the fringe, the ball usually ends up, if it doesn't go in, it's in the 2 to 3 foot
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, and that's average.
Right.
I mean, that's, you know, straightforward chip shot, but still, I mean, if the everyday players would think, all right, kind of assess and remember the last round of golf you had, and for just a basic chip shot off the green, try to remember how close was I hitting those.
Right.
More times than not, I would say most people average 15 to 20 feet.
Right.
You know, and then the percentage you make on those is zilch.
Well, and I'll give you a perfect example, and this is not to toot my horn, because I'm pretty good at that shot, when we're, you know, 3 to 5 yards off the green. Yesterday in the men's league, we had a horse race, so that means we're going to be eliminating people on every hole. And so on the first hole we played, there was 12 teams that had to go into a chip-off, and Chuck Tigner and I were in that group because we made 4, and everybody else got shot. So they made 3. So there were some 4s, there were some 5s. So you have to turn your back while the other players are hitting their shot. And it was about 3 feet off the green, a little bit of rough, but it was going uphill over a ridge to a back pin. So I get up to hit mine. I hit mine up there, and I just hit it perfectly. I mean, it's 6 inches from the hole. Well, there was a couple other teams that got it inside of 20 feet. Most everybody was 20 feet away on that chip shot. And so 6 teams got eliminated right then.
Right.
So, but you practice that stuff, you get a feel for it. I mean, it's one of the things I really like practicing.
Yeah.
I like being around the greens and hitting all those different little shots, you know, whether you're going to run a little bit lower or whether you're going to fly a little higher. I mean, that to me is fun.
Well, and that's where, I mean, if you can keep that feel around the greens, you know, just like you're talking chip shots, little pitch shots, and even finesse wedges, you know, hitting those shots, it gives you a good feel not only for those, but for your full swing as well. Because again, just like we showed you, you're controlling the face, you're controlling the sweet spot, you're controlling all the keys, right? You know, and so those keys then will just keep on carrying over your full swing.
Right. Right. I mean, you know, and when we talk about distance as a whole, that's also one of your stats you look at. That's 75 to 100 yards. The best players in the world are hitting at 12 to 16 feet. Mm-hmm. So obviously you're a lot better than them, because yesterday when you played in the men's league at the other club, you were hitting it to 3 feet.
I was flagging it.
He was flagging it. So,
you know, everybody out here is going to think that's all we do is play.
Yeah.
Webinars and play.
Thursday night. That's it. But that's it now. So no, ours is over, so I'm done with that. But it's fun. And then when you look at, let's look at putts, for example. You know, when they are 10 to 15 feet, the best players in the world make 41%. So if you're standing up there and you think you need to make everything, no. You know, the best players in the world make 41% there. One of our members yesterday had a 2.5 foot putt. So he had a, less than 5 foot putt, and he missed it. Now, on tour, they make 98%, so they still don't make 100% of those, right? So let's go back to some accuracy stuff here, and let's talk about the distance to the hole for the chips and pitches and things. So why don't you talk about the greenside bunker shots?
Well, you know, on average, you know, they're going to hit just a standard shot, you know, based on the numbers. They're about, on average, 7 to 8 feet. And, you know, with the best players in the world, you know, they practice day in and day out. So they've got the feel down, they've got the technique down. And, you know, with a lot of people that we see, you know, people just struggle just getting the ball on the ground. Right? And, you know, as far as the bunkers go, you know, we did a little bit on it last week, but if you're going to practice bunker shots, you know, what I recommend to players that are terrible at it is find you a practice area where you can have a bunker shot. And when you first do it, set up a ring of tees, but have it in like a 20-foot circle. Right? And just stand there until you get 5 balls in it. And just keep track of how many balls it took you to do that. And then write that down. So the next time you come out, we'll make your circle 50. And do that again. And just keep narrowing your margin there, but yet keep track of how many balls it's taking to do that. Right? And, you know, more times than not, when you do that sort of thing, you start to get the feel for it.
Right. And the first rule in the bunker is to get it out.
Yeah,
Okay, so work on getting it out first, then getting it toward where you want it to go second.
yeah, but always make your margin or your target area, just start shrinking it up. You know, I think a lot of times, especially out of bunkers, people, you know, they get in the bunker, one, they're nervous because they're in sand. Well, technically the club never really hits the ball. You're getting sand, and sand's carrying it out. And then people try to be too precise with it. So if you make you a big size target there, that's going to help ease your mind psychologically, and then you just keep making that target smaller.
Right. And it's the same thing when you're getting your chip shots. You know, if you're looking at a landing area, put a tee where you want the ball to land. You've already picked the club for that shot. You know what the distance is. Now focus on hitting the ball the distance you want it to carry, and then let the ball go the right way. So typically, if you get it a foot past the area that you want it to land on a decent trajectory, it's usually going to roll farther past the hole. And if it's short of that mark, it's usually not going to be. And then chipping as well as full swing and everything else, you have to control the trajectory of it. Yeah. You can hit low running chips, you can hit a little higher chips.
You know, you hit the nail on the head there as far as how the best players in the world are able to control their accuracy, is they control the trajectory of the shot. I mean, players we see day in and day out, they have one swing, one shot, and it's hitting home. Where if you would do like Chuck's saying, use different clubs around the green, try different, see the different trajectories, see the different rollout patterns, and that's going to give you a great idea as far as what club to use, what shot to use. Because controlling the trajectories, I mean, that's the bread and butter, especially on finesse wedges and those types of shots.
Yeah, I mean, even Hogan said, you know, the secret to golf is controlling the trajectory.
Yeah.
So you can hit a pitch shot with a lot of different trajectories. You can hit a chip shot with a lot of different trajectories. The same thing in the bunker, same thing in full swing. You have to choose what's going to work the best for you. Some players are naturally low ball, some are naturally high ball.
Yeah.
But even those two work on controlling the trajectory.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're going to answer a few questions here. And the first one is from Sandy. I stop my swing when I hear the click of the club hitting the ball. Okay, so I'm going to let you handle that one, Brenndan.
Well, Sandy, what I would recommend is, it sounds to me like you've definitely got a lot of focus on ball. And so you need to figure out a way how you can take that focus out. So what I would do is, and it's a drill that we've talked about many times, is take an alignment rod and just practice making some swooshes with the alignment rod. So if I use this wedge and I flip it around like it's an alignment rod, then just stand here and make some swings and see how loud of a swoosh you could make. Because with an object not being in front of you, you're going to be focused more on the motion of it than necessarily trying to hit something. You know, some things that we tell our players a lot, and it depends on what's going on, is, you know, we'll tell them, think of it more as a swing, not so much as a hit. I'm not saying that you can't swing or hit, but it just depends on the mindset there.
Right, and if you're actually able to stop your club when you hit the ball, then you're probably not swinging nearly fast enough.
Right.
So in addition to talking about swishing the alignment rods, just get you a piece of rope, right? And I'll do it from this side so you can see it better. So start with this rope, take it up to the top. From here, just swing the arms. So swing it back, swing it through. And as you get better with this, then swing it faster. And this will actually sequence your body out working a little bit. Because if you're up here and you're lunging, let me get it back up here. So if you're up here and you're lunging, that thing is just going to stick out, stuck in the ground.
It didn't make any sound.
It made zero sound.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what the next question is. All right, the next one is from Rosemary. Why do my chip shots often go to the right instead of straight? Well, we talked briefly about that, Rosemary, and that's because of you're not really controlling your club face when we did the 2x4 drill. So you could have your face pointed way to the right. Unknowingly, it might look square to you, but it might be pointed way to the right. When you hit it, it's just going over there. You could also be set up to it, and as you take it back, you could also be lunging forward like this, which is going to open the face as well. So ultimately, that's club face control, which is ultimately what your hands are doing as well as your body in that chip shot. So when you're hitting that chip, you really don't want a lot of body movement. It's basically arms up. Let me move this ball. I don't want to dash it. It's basically arms up, and you're just going to like turn to the hole.
Yep.
So if I took this club back with my arm, and now I got two ways to move it. I can move it like this, okay, which is not very efficient, or I could turn my body and let it pull my arms through. So, especially in short game, you want to minimize the amount of body movement in the backswing. You want to feel it much more in your hands, wrists, and arms. And then during the through swing, just feel like you're just taking your right hand. Feel like you're taking your right hand, you're just like pitching a penny. So if you've ever pitched pennies against a wall, that's kind of what it feels like. Anything you want to add to that?
Oh, that's good. We'll have to talk about the pitching pennies.
Yeah, we pitch quarters. Okay. Lloyd, how can I get more club head speed? Well, again, Brenndan just talked about this. So I'll let him talk about speed again.
Yeah, again, just take an alignment rod or take a golf club and flip it around where you're gripping it up by the club head here. And then just practice making full swings and try to make a loud swoosh. And when you do that, you're going to feel your hands and arms. You're going to feel a lot of speed coming from what the arms are doing, what the hands are doing. If I make a backswing and just simply turn my body, well, it made a sound, but it wasn't near as loud as the one where I focused on making a normal backswing and then feeling like I'm swinging my hands and arms to a full finish. So from a speed standpoint, we got to speed these things up.
You got to speed them up, but your body also has to give you the support to do that.
It's got to support it. Yes.
So I mean, it wouldn't do me any good to swing back here and just swing my arms like this.
Right.
Right. So that's another reason why that little rope drill is great, because it gives you the sequence to release that and get that thing going. Yeah. Right? All right, and I think we have one more question here, and this is from no, actually we have two more. So this is from Peter. How to hit the ball from significant rough and obtain distance? Okay, so the answer to that is you don't. Okay, if you are in significant rough, you can forget about getting any kind of distance out of it. You want to take the highest loft of the club you have, wedge, sandwich, whatever. You just want to get it back out to where you can hit it. If you watch the best players in the world, when they're in the rough, that deep rough, they're not advancing the ball very far.
Right.
Now, it depends on the rough. The rough, let's say at the British Open, it's not thick grass. It's deep, but it's not thick.
Mm-hmm.
So they can actually hit 5 irons out of it, 6 iron. But for most people over here in the U.S., thick rough means it's thick bladed grass, and there's lots of it.
Yeah.
So all you're trying to do is chop it out of there and get it back. So to do that, you want to make sure when you set up, move the ball a little bit farther back than you normally would. You need to pick the club up abruptly and slam it down behind the back of the golf ball. Don't feel like you're going to make this long flowing swing, because if the club gets caught back here, it won't even reach the golf ball.
Yeah, you're trying to minimize how much grass is between the face and the ball. And that's the reason. Move it back and feel like it's just a complete chop action.
Right.
You're trying to catch ball first out
Right.
there.
So fairway woods and stuff, not going to work. Okay, and now we have a question from Steve. What is the best ball position for uphill, downhill chip shots? Well, again, if you're going uphill, you're going to want the ball to roll more. So you might play the ball farther back, okay? Not with the handle way out here, just the handle slightly forward. This will help you keep the ball lower and run it more up the hill. If you're going downhill, obviously you don't want all that roll because you're going to get it automatically. So you play the ball more forward. The shaft might be just slightly leaning forward, but you're basically going to make the same move and just feel the club kind of move past your hands in this manner, which will add some loft. You're just trying to get it on the green and get it to roll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anything you want to add to that one?
No.
Okay, so I think that's it for our questions. Let me look one more here. I think we just answered that one. Yep, that was from Steve. Okay, so Thanks again, great questions, we appreciate that. Also, we're collecting, keep adding the things that you want to hear us talk about, and we'll do those for you every week. Now, we'll have another one next week, then we'll be off for 2 weeks, so we don't know what next week's going to be. It's kind of like when you open a Cracker Jacks, you're surprising them.
Yeah, maybe next week you and I can coordinate that.
Yeah, because we're off kilter this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, thanks you guys, and we have less than 90 days till football.
Go Cowboys.
Go Chiefs. See y'all.